clean of dust. They will be very happy. Actually, while we're here, let me show you what I was using. Where is it? I have a blue microfiber cloth. The color doesn't matter. I don't know why I said it was blue. And I also have my lemon juice mixture. So I mixed half lemon juice, half water, and my microfiber cloth. And you use a microfiber cloth because these don't let off any sort of lint onto the plant, and this just sort of helps cut through the water stains and things like that. So that's actually what I used on the Raven ZZ, which I guess since I've mentioned it, I will do that one next. Okay, so ZZ in general is known for being extremely easy to care for. This is a Raven ZZ, and in my opinion, the Raven ZZ is even a little bit easier than the regular ZZ because this one, it just requires even less light because it is so dark leaved. These leaves are so dark green that they actually appear black. That's where it gets the name Raven. And with these dark goth leaves, they do accumulate quite a bit of dust, and this was the plant that I needed to clean off the most. It definitely still does need light, and it will suffer if it doesn't get light at all, but I will say that it sits in places in my home that I would consider low light or like very low light, and it is super happy. Now, this isn't to say that it's putting out a lot of new growth. This has actually not put out any new growth since I've had it, but that could also be attributed to the fact that this is just a collection of cuttings that I've gotten from various plant swaps. So I've never actually purchased a ZZ plant before. These are all from plant swaps. So I don't know what it is about plant swaps, but I always end up finding someone with a Raven ZZ and they're willing to trade. And so I've kind of made it my fun thing that I will continue filling up this pot every time I find them at a trade. Also contributing to the fact that I don't have an actual ZZ that I've purchased, ZZs are very expensive where I live. Like, I don't know why, probably because they are very hardy and like the nurseries know that, or I really don't know why actually, but usually for a plant around this size, maybe like with a few more stalks in it, it would be like $20 to $30, which I feel is way too expensive for this plant because, well, Florida is like an entirely different plant zone in itself, but Florida is one of those places that plants are very cheap, and I went to a big box store in Florida and found a Raven ZZ like about this size, let's say, and it was like $5, like $5 to $10. It was absolutely insane. And oh wait, no, it wasn't a Raven ZZ, sorry, it was a regular ZZ, and it was like $5 to $10. And I was shocked because that is just not the situation at home for me. So with that being said, that's why I don't have a regular ZZ. I'm sure that after I move, if I check out the scene and they're a little bit cheaper, I will probably get one. But anyway, if I ever did get a regular ZZ, I'd want it to be like a pretty big one. So that's why I'm holding off and a little bit hesitant. But anyway, this is definitely one of those extremely easy, low maintenance, totally forget about it plants. I don't remember the last time I watered it, but actually I wanted to do a little bit of maintenance on it and repot it into this pot because this is just a regular old terracotta, but I thought it would look really beautiful in this. And the shape of this, oh, I have chapstick in there right now, that's great. But the shape of this pot kind of makes me nervous if I put something that was fast growing in it because I'd have to repot it and then it might be a nightmare to get out. But with the ZZ, they don't grow super fast, so it might not be that bad to repot it, and I probably wouldn't have to repot it as often. Okay, so the next, I guess, genre of low maintenance plant are air plants. So if you are unfamiliar, air plants are plants that don't need soil. Tropical places have these air plants that just grow on the trees. And there was actually a company called Air Plant Gardens, which is a new plant subscription box. They reached out to me and asked if they could sponsor a video where I will unbox some of their air plants on camera for you. So they come in these little boxes here. So as I said, Air Plant Gardens is a subscription box and it is $10 a month, and you get one unique air plant every single month, and it is always free shipping. So let's enjoy this experience together. Ooh, look at that. I think the display is very cute. Also, I have to say this packaging is 100% recyclable and biodegradable, and even better, all of these air plants are grown locally in California, which is really cool. So, okay, pull me out and use me as a stand until you find another way to display the air plant. Okay, that's a really cool part of air plants is they don't need any they don't need to be in like super bright lights. You can kind of display them along this right here, this you can see this jewelry holder. I like to stick my air plants in there, but my air plants are somewhere else right now, but that is usually where I put them, and that's probably like 4 feet from an east window, so there's a lot more leverage as far as their lighting requirements goes. Very cute. So you can see that is the first air plant. Very lovely. I can tell that it is thirsty because it has been in transit, but all you have to do when you water these is stick them in distilled water. I have heard that people use regular water, but I use distilled water because that's what I heard is best. I stick them in distilled water for like 2-3 hours, and then I let them dry upside down, and then they are perfectly fine. That's all they need. But I do have a care guide right here, tips and all of that for your air plants. You can see that it's like very, very thorough. And then down here we have like the care. And also something that I think is so cute is they have these little cards right here that will show you more about the specific plant with the ID and then some specific information and care. And I think this is really cool because it's kind of like trading cards. So you can see how many you can collect. And then here is the second air plant. Let's pull this out and show you up close. This is so cute. I don't know if I've ever seen this one sold locally to me, but that is really cute. All right, so those are my 2 new air plants. Thank you so much again to Air Plant Gardens for sponsoring this portion of the video. If you would like to check out Air Plant Gardens and start your own air plant subscription service, you can go ahead and check the link down below. You will automatically get $5 off when you use that link, or you can use the code on the screen for $5 off of your first order. Okay, the next low maintenance plant that I want to talk about today is Scindapsus pictus exotica, or just Scindapsus pictus in general. They are absolutely lovely low maintenance plants, and I find that they are very happy in a lot of different lighting situations. So they're not necessarily picky, but if you do have them in higher light, you will probably see higher margins of this silver color. But what I find so wonderful about this plant is how prolific it is. And honestly, I'm just looking at it in the viewfinder. Like, sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at the viewfinder, but it is so beautiful, such a statement. And I have shared this multiple times, but if you're new, this plant I actually started from 4 leaves. Incredible, like it is so beautiful. 2 years later, it is absolutely massive. It is very bushy, which I love because I have trimmed it back quite a few times and then added back into the top to thicken it up so it looks like a normal plant. And you can see the new growth comes in like a lighter green color. This is a new leaf, and this is also a new leaf. Look at all of that silver. Actually, is that a new leaf or is it dying off? I think that leaf is actually dying off. But there's new leaves down here. Here's another one. Okay, cool. So I promise there is new growth coming in. Anyway, this plant is also really helpful because it will curl up like pretty significantly, like kind of look like a bunch of tacos like this when it is thirsty. So it's just really easy to see if it is thirsty because it makes it very, very obvious, which I have to say I really appreciate in a plant. I don't like the guesswork. Normally plants where I have to do a lot of guesswork don't last very long in my home because I don't particularly love sticking my finger down into the soil, and moisture meters are not always super accurate. When plants are just vocal and like tell me, that might be why I like the Photonia so much actually, but when they just tell me what they want, I like that so much more. Of course, I'm willing to work a little harder for some plants, but this one is so easy, and that is why it is on this video. And last, but certainly not least, oh, ow, excuse me. We have the whalefin sansevieria, or now Dracaena. So this plant is very special to me because I was looking for a whalefin for a very long time, and then I found a very large pot with a lot of them in it, and I ended up selling and giving away pieces of that a long time ago. But now I am left with this beautiful mama, and she has made another baby since she has been in my care. So it started off as a double fin, and it was kind of strange because it lays back like this. I really wish that it stood up straight like this. Like that would be so much more majestic, honestly, but it doesn't want to. It likes to do this. And for a really long time, it actually lived in water because I wanted it to regrow its root system because it was in a smaller pot, like probably like this big. And I showed that in my Sansevieria collection. And then soon after that, it fell over, and I realized that the root system was like this big for a plant this big, and it just didn't make sense. I mean, that is pretty typical for Sansevieria to have, or Dracaena, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna say Sansevieria right now, but it is pretty typical for snake plants or whale fins to have a small root system. Like, that isn't abnormal. It wasn't unhealthy. It's just it wasn't enough for the bulk of the plant. Like, it was just way too heavy. So I ended up putting it in water for a long time until I could find